Hi, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and this is Equal Entertainment. While the writers' strike continues, actors are agreeing to federal mediation with studios. The Screen Actors Guild is asking for better residual pay and protections from artificial intelligence being used to create characters using actors' voices or likenesses. With the writers' union already on strike, an actors' strike would bring most remaining productions to a halt. The agreement for mediation comes as the deadline for actors to walk out on strike looms at midnight on July 12th.
If both unions struck together and were in solidarity, it would really have an impact on the industry. Without actors or writers, I feel like that would get things moving.
We're doing what unions have to do every couple decades or so. We're having to show our power to remind the companies, hey, you don't have anything without us. We're on strike until you give us a fair deal. And if we do that, which we are going to win, then we are going to be able to make a living in this town once again.
The last actors' strike was in 1980. The likelihood of a deal being reached before the deadline is low. Britney Spears is releasing a memoir about the landmark 2021 conservatorship court case. Spears testified she felt the conservatorship was abusive and pleaded with the judge to end it. Spears told the court her father controlled her career, her finances, and other aspects of her life. The book's publisher says the tell-all will hit bookshelves October 24th. It's a comic book character matchup for the ages. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are close friends in real life, and now their comic book characters will clash on screen. Take a look at this photo. It shows Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and we can only guess what the two are discussing. Jackman has said he would not return as Wolverine, who died in 2017's Logan. We'll have to wait and see how he's written back to life when Deadpool 3 hits theaters in November of next year. This summer, Warner Brothers is bringing Barbie to life. For those who grew up with the doll, this movie could be a dream come true. But as the Advocate Channel's Rachel Smith found out, this movie is emphasizing representation and joy.
Here we go, Barbie Day 1.
Margot Robbie is a Barbie girl living in the real world, and Ryan Gosling is her Ken. But it's Greta Gerwig who is bringing this Barbie world to life for a new generation of fans.
Barbie's, this icon. She was invented in 1959. She's never not been the cause of conversation. She's evolved in all these different ways. Like, how do we surround this somehow? And I have an experience of it from when I was a little girl, but also now I'm a grown woman.
For more than 60 years, Barbie has been more than just a toy for so many girls and boys.
It's clearly a device, a tangible device that they can use, kids in particular I'm talking about, can use to try and make sense of situations. And it can be an opportunity to imagine themselves in certain scenarios, maybe being a grown-up, which is something that's super interesting and elusive when you're a kid. Or maybe they're trying to figure something out and they can do it through play. So I think it's just ingrained in us, I suppose, to tell stories or create stories as a way of understanding ourselves and what's happening around us.
42-year-old Ryan Gosling channeled his Kenergy to defend against those who think he's too old to play a Ken doll, saying that for 60 years, everyone was fine with Ken's job just being beach.
Let's beach off.
Do you know anyone who does beach? I'd love to talk to them. Yeah, I couldn't find anyone. And when you Google it, just nothing comes up. It's just there's no information on beach. Yeah. And everyone keeps telling him that he's good at it, and that feels great, but he's not sure what he's done.
And just as the Barbie story has evolved over 60 years, the Barbie World movie is also more inclusive.
Barbie may have started as one thing. She is now so many things, and there are, so many different Barbies. And growing up, I didn't see myself in the narrative of Barbie land. And now I can. Someone like me growing up can see more reflections and more representations. And it's exciting to get to be a part of that.
One key part to building that Barbie world, outside of the color pink, was actually building a real Barbie world. There was actually a pink dress code mandated for cast and crew once a week while filming. Even the stars say it was magical.
You felt transported to Barbie land, and it helped you to get into character. I felt like a doll, on set. And then seeing everyone in costume for the first time was just like, wow, we're Barbies.
I knew what Toto felt when he walked into the Wizard of Oz.
You weren't Dorothy, you were Toto.
I was Toto. Yeah,
let's
be honest. I'm having the Toto experience.
I mean, it was like being in the most fun museum exhibit ever. I do think, and I have pitched, that all of the sets and costumes should be made into a permanent museum.
Yep.
Right.
I think they'd make a killing, and I think people should have the opportunity to walk into Barbie Land and experience the color and the joy for themselves.
So much pink in the universe of Barbie Land that it led to a global shortage, creating those perfect backdrops. And it's that kind of excitement that the actors and creators hope will spill into movie theaters.
Joy. You know, I hope people experience just like wonder and joy and laughter, and also like some real heartfelt feelings, and that we reconnect to kind of, it's interesting because it's a movie about dolls, but it's really about humanity. And I think, you know, connecting to what's beautiful and wonderful about being human is really, I think, the gift of the movie. And so I hope that people walk out with that experience of like, oh, yeah, we get this chance to live out loud, to live expressively, and to be more of what we are, and that we can be all the things that we are.
I hope that they laughed so hard that their stomachs hurt, and then I hope they find themselves tearing up and choked up by the end, and then I hope they leave the theater feeling that they are worthy and that they're good enough and that they're one of one, limited edition, and that they're so special in themselves.
Emmy Rossum has been in a number of iconic roles, but none quite struck her like playing Candy in The Crowded Room. She's a single mom who has her flaws, but is paying her own way and doing what's best for her and her child. Emmy says she leaned on her own life and experiences for the role.
I love the challenge of being able to portray this woman over a period of 10 years. When we first meet her in the earliest form of the timeline, she's a young 25-year-old mom who had a kid when she was 16, so almost very much a kid in her own right. She's a single mom working 2 jobs. She's a nurse and a bartender, and we watch that she's a caretaker in every aspect of her life, always trying to do her best, but the secrets that she holds from herself and from her child, the ways in which she perhaps misguidedly tries to protect him from the truth about their life, ultimately kind of shatter that bond. And the decisions and mistakes that she makes have huge ramifications that ultimately destroy them and lead to this crime. So I thought it was thrilling and thought-provoking and moving and really challenging to bring empathy to a female character that in lesser hands could be a villain, and she's not. She is a deeply, deeply flawed human being, and one that we ultimately come to love and understand.
She's a single mom, and really there weren't a lot of options for women, even as recently as the late 70s. And it shines a light on kind of the ways in which she doesn't have a lot of options, which, you know, often having a man in your life was the way to a path forward.
I think the ways in which she looks for safety and protection, financially, in other ways, what she thinks she needs in her life in order to care for her son, ultimately end up to be mistakes and undoing a lot of the kind of happiness that they had in that moment. And ultimately, that's kind of like what they're grieving as they lose this connection. I also think that the ways in which we understood mental health and survival from violence were very limited at that time. And there's something that the show is saying about that in that time period. And we are all imperfect people. We're imperfect parents. We had imperfect parents. And I think that the show is kind of taking a very complicated look at that and it brought up a lot for me, and I think the series does the same.
You can watch the Advocate channel live by downloading our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate channel, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and thank you for watching.